Hello, Tom Levecki here with the latest edition of the New Theory podcast. And today we've got a very special guest. Now, before we jump into this very special guest, Adam, which we'll talk about in a second, I want to chat about opportunity where digital meets, entertainment, and what does it mean for the actors, for the people in media. And Adam is a good example of that. He's been acting for 15 years, he's done a ton of stuff. Most recently, Butterfly Caught was one of his films, Storyteller on the Rise. I mean, this guy has a full cadre, and his IMDb is just way too long to mention. But what's more important is where he's going. So Adam Ambruso, welcome to New Theory Podcast. How you doing today?
Hey, thank you, Tom. Real pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the amazing intro. I might carry you around with me.
Love it. I'll be your talking head. So let's get to it. So I look at it like this. I know some people in the entertainment world, and there's kind of like a tale of two cities. Some that are doing really well, who got picked up by Netflix, who got picked up by Amazon, who's kind of, got a new gig and that kind of fun stuff. And then I'm seeing more traditional players kind of become irrelevant because of this new technology. You've been able to adapt. So give us when you first realized, oh crap, like things are changing. What did you do to adapt, and how have you become so successful?
Good question. The transition, there's been a few transitions, which has been interesting about what's happened to Hollywood since I got there right after college. Right after I graduated UT, I came straight out. I think that there's been a few transitions other than it going to digital that have happened simultaneously that have caused kind of a huge shift. So in general, what I've had to do was just become more proactive about my career. This traditional model that existed when I first got there of audition for TV and film and book something and work up the ladder, I feel like those days have disappeared a little bit. I noticed that what I had to do was, when that was starting to change, and I did book some stuff when I first came out there, and I was recurring on some shows, and I kind of rode that model, and I thought I would transition really, really quickly into something larger. But while this transition was happening, my need to be more proactive and do my own films and create my own work started to become very obvious. And I think that a lot of the greats that you look back on, from Dennis Hopper to Pacino to De Niro, you start to really put a magnifying glass on their careers, and you realize, well, they were doing that all the time anyway. So I don't know how we slipped into this period of Hollywood where people were just sort of relying on auditioning. So I started looking at what the greats were doing, and I thought, well, let me try to do what they were doing way back when. And I just got really involved. And I think if you are being proactive about your career and you're creating work, whether it's a web series, a TV series, something you're pitching to Netflix, whether you're doing a short film, a full-length film, I think all of a sudden you start operating outside of that framework of what Hollywood's doing. Because if you're...
But Adam, so you were saying the transition, you kind of picked up on it, you started to go with it, and now, the traditional, studios are not where it is, and now things are a little different from a landscape perspective. So you said the bigs, the greats like Al Pacino, et cetera. So now you're working to, more of a producer role. How is that transition from going to being an individual actor to doing bigger things like producing?
Well, long story short, you do have to be more proactive now more than ever, which I think is more of a blessing than a curse. The truth is there's a lot more opportunities to put your content on the air. You're not getting as much money per content that you're supplying. But, it's weird. There definitely has been a change, and there's a new guard, but the old guard still very much exists. And it's just about, are you able to get into that old guard? Because we do still have traditional movies that are being made every year, and they're making lots of money, and they're large budget. So it's still possible to operate in that model, but there's also this other huge model of, like you say, supplying Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime Now, Crackle, and all these other brands that are online with material. And so there's just more opportunities and more avenues over there than to get into the bigger movies. But I'm still actively pursuing both. And I think as a, I'm always an actor first, but I think as a producer, it wasn't like one day I thought, oh, I'm going to be a producer. It was like, hey, I love this business. I love working. I'm not going to have the attitude that I don't do windows. Like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get a film made. So if that means producing, if that means writing, if that means directing, if that means doing cameos, co-producing, teaming up with friends on projects, I just want to get in and play the game, and work begets work. So when I started having that attitude and I started getting in, becoming more involved, not only did I become better at those other things as well, but I started booking more work across the board. You just become more of a player and a player in this business. And I just think the digital platform is exciting because there's a lot more opportunities. And I really look at wherever there's chaos, there's opportunity. So I really love that there's this mix up in Hollywood, this shift, this shake up where, maybe people that can't adapt to new situations, they kind of fall away. A lot of people have kind of fallen away or been becoming frustrated with this model. And I actually am enamored by it and excited by it. And I'm looking for how I can capitalize on it and how I can take advantage of these new changes. And I just think there's tons of opportunity. I only see very positive out of all this.
Now, you had a pretty dynamic career. Give us one of the best moves you've ever made from a career decision.
I think, God, that's a tough one because I feel like I've made some fun ones that they've all kind of led to the next one. But since Butterfly Caught was so recent, I'm going to mention it because I'm really proud of it because it's the first role that I ever really fought for. When I say really fought, like, yes, I've worked hard on auditions and I've worked and I've went, to callbacks and producers for shows, but I've never like put my neck on the line before Butterfly Caught, where I actually called the director and was like, hey, I want to play this character in your film that I really like, and I want to audition for you in a private studio. And, I never really put my neck on the line where I could have like fallen flat on my face. And then been a part of, a lead in the cast that I thought was very good. And, I thought the material was very relevant and very timely and said something about society. So I'd have to say that from a career decision, Butterfly Caught was probably one of the best decisions I ever made to go fight for it, put my neck on the line.
So, what about what's your biggest fuck up to date? And something you just categorically screwed up?
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry.
What's one of your biggest mess ups to date?
God, mess ups. It's such a difficult question to answer because even your mess ups, if you feel like if you're out there doing something, they all lead to something else. But God, I did some horrific independent films when I first got there, and I wouldn't call them mess ups because I learned so much. There was one film I did when I first got to town. I booked the lead in a film. It was a $50,000 budget, and it should have been like a $5,000 budget. The guys just did not know what they were doing, but we had like stunts and firearms and all this cool stuff, and I was thinking, man, this is going to be the coolest movie ever. And when we got it done, it was so horribly shot. I could not even put it on a reel. It just looked like I made it in my backyard, and that was called Glam. Okay, so you can even tell by the name of the title, not the best title, Glam. So I'd say Glam was probably not the best use of my time when I first got here.
Got it. So that was more maybe opportunity cost or whatever it was, but you learned from it. And then you move on. So, okay, so we kind of talked about your good moves, kind of adopting to the times. Give us some of your projects you're currently working on and promoting.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm very excited about where things have gone. The last 7 years have been quite a ramp up for me. That's kind of, I'd say, the turning point of when things really started to really, have a trajectory up. And I found myself in a really unique position walking into 2019 with a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of heat, and I'm finally getting to do some of the things I've always wanted to do as an actor and a filmmaker. Right now, I'm kind of a really fun role I'm playing right now. I'm actually walked off set to give this interview. I'm in San Antonio, Texas, actually New Braunfels. I'm filming a family comedy about a pet dinosaur, and I get to play that really overtly jerk bad guy boss who's trying to take the dinosaur from the kids and sell them off for millions of dollars. And it's just fun. And if it goes well, we'll do a part 2, and we'll do a few a year. But what I'm really excited about this year is I'm doing a suspense horror thriller called Wolfson Castle in the south of France in February. And that's going to be a suspense horror thriller. And I think it's going to be, we got an award-winning director who won Cannes. We've got some extremely talented actors and name value that's going to be attached to it. And I really think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited about that one. And there's a few other scripts have been handed to me lately that look like we're going to make those as well. And I'm excited about those as well. I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about them because we haven't signed any deals yet. But there's going to be some really cool other projects that are coming out. Also, in January, February, I have The Great Race coming out. That's going to be a lot of fun to have come out. That's the first period piece I ever did, shot in the 1920s. It's meant to be, looks like it's 1920s. So we shot a period piece in Colorado about the true story of an epidemic of diphtheria that swept a town in Alaska, and they had to mush 700 miles to get the antitoxin. So it's a really cool story of heroism, and it was beautifully shot in Silverton, Colorado. So I'm excited for that to come out in January, February timeframe. What else do I have going on? There's so many things I'm forgetting. There's another suspense horror thriller that I may be filming in January. It seems like I'm on a suspense horror thriller binge here. When it rains, it pours. Things come in waves. It's interesting how I keep getting similar genres at the same time. But there's another one, really great director, last name Pritikin, who just did a series that comes out on Netflix this January, and he's written a really cool story that looks like I'm going to be play kind of his lead protagonist / antagonist, and shot in a very eerie home, shot in LA, and I'm really excited about that one too. I don't know if I'm allowed to say. I don't know what I'm allowed to say and not to say. I've never been in a situation where I actually am about to do films that I haven't signed the contracts for. So this is interesting. Can I even say their names? I don't even know. But those are a few of the things I'm working on right now.
Love it. So how can people find you?
I'm on all the social media platforms. You can go to imdb.com. You can go to Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And I don't have my own website as of right now, so I'm just using the social media platforms, but I'm sure that's probably going to be something that I'll have to do in 2019 as well.
Love it. And Adam, again, what I love is you're still like an actor's actor, right? An actor's actor, but you're also reaching out into producing, and you are kind of on the forefront where, and you're not like all digital where you're running around throwing in treatments and doing 30 shows and getting away from traditional, but also you're acknowledging that you got to have your hand in both. And I think I know you're going to have some staying power because of your talent, but also your acumen. So it's an honor to have you on the New Theory podcast.
Hey, I really appreciate that. Those are very kind words. They mean a lot, and I will make sure not to disappoint you and be true to exactly who I am as an actor and an artist. And hopefully, I'll be doing bigger and bigger films, because that's the goal. I definitely don't want to. I definitely don't want to be Wyatt Earp and stay outside the studio system. I'm looking forward to doing some of the biggest films, that Hollywood makes. All the while doing my independent films as well. So hopefully I'll be straddling those two worlds. And I really appreciate you having me on. It means a lot, and would be an honor to come on your show anytime.
Awesome. We'll be in touch, Adam. And for those so inclined, check out Adam Ambruso, and thank you for being on the show.
Thanks so much, Tom. Appreciate you. Have a great day.
Thank you, buddy.